In this video, we'll explore how businesses use price elasticity of demand to decide whether raising prices will increase or decrease their revenue. We'll start by defining what revenue is, what it is, and how to calculate it using a demand curve. Then we'll see how understanding elasticity helps businesses predict the impact of price changes on their bottom line. Let's dive in and see how economics can guide some real-world decisions.
Okay, first, I need you to show you and define what revenue is and how we can derive that from a demand curve. Total revenue for a firm is going to be the price of the unit that they sell times how many quantity of the units that they sell. We can develop this on a demand curve with price on our y-axis and quantity on our x-axis, and we can put a downward sloping demand curve in there. All right. So now let's say that this firm faces this demand curve. It could be McDonald's, and this is how many burgers that they can sell. So at a price of $5, right, the demand curve tells them then that they could sell 100 units. Okay? And so for our total revenue of our formula up there, we'll get the price of $5 times the quantity at $5, which is 100 units that they would sell. And so we would get a total revenue of $500. Okay. Great. Now, how do we visualize this revenue on the graph? Well, notice this is 5 times 100. And so this is just going to be in the area of a square. So think this is going to be the height of the square, the price, times the base of the square, or the quantity. And so we'll have the base quantity times the height, the square, height, the price. And so this box, if we color it in, of that price times quantity, that box there will give us our total revenue box from that price facing that demand curve for that firm. Okay, so here it would be a type of question I might ask you on the exam, where I'm going to give you a graph and I'm going to ask you, this shows the market for avocados. If the seller changes the price per avocado from $1.50 to $1.75, what is the change in the total revenue? Right. So we're going to raise the price from $1.50 to $1.75. We want to know the change in the revenue. And so we would need to do that calculation we just did. We got to do it twice. And so for the first one, the $1.50, we'll get the price of $1.50 times the quantity, which is 100,000 units. And so our total revenue at that initial price will be $150,000. Right. Then we're going to raise the price to $1.75. And if we raise the price, we have to go up that demand curve. Okay. At a higher price, we'll sell less units. Okay. So instead of selling 100,000 units, we'll only sell 93,000 units, like so. And so that revenue, if you put that in your calculator, will be 162 times 162,750. So we can difference that. Right? The gain then, right, moving from $1.50 to $1.75 is going to be $12,750. Okay. So revenue increases by this amount. The answer would be B, right? If you raise that price. So notice that if you raise the price from A to B, two things go on. We're going to make more revenue per unit we actually sell. So that difference between $1.50 to $1.75, right? We're raising the price. That's going to increase our revenue. However, there's a trade-off. The other side is we're going to lose quantity. Okay, and so at some points, like A to B, the loss in quantity is made up for by that increase in price, and our total revenue is going to go up. But if we were somewhere up here, we could go from that price to this price up here, and it might be different, where our revenue might actually go down. Okay, and so that's what's going on as we go along these demand curves. Is our like this box? You can visualize this box changing, right, in terms of our total revenue. And that could be the size of that area could either be going up or down depending on where you're at. Okay? And whether it goes up or down depends on elasticity. So on this slide, I'm going to try to convince you that it depends on that elasticity of what's going to happen to your marginal revenue, which means your change in total revenue. So over here on the left, I'm going to draw out an elastic demand curve. So this is going to be relatively flat. And we want to raise the price from some initial price, $5 here. And this is going to be $100. So that's $500 in revenue. We could raise the price then to something like $7. And we have two things going on. The price goes up and the quantity goes down. Moving from $5 to $7, we're going to lose this box of revenue here. This is coming from the lower quantity that we sold. We used to sell 100, now we're selling less. So this used to be part of our revenue, and now it's gone because our quantity went down. We're going to gain this box in revenue because for those units that we do sell, when we charge a price of $7, we get $2 more per revenue in each of those. And so that box would be your gain box. And then this box down here, that's in both cases. So this isn't going to be part of the change. And so if we're looking at this, right, you want to add up the areas of the loss box and the gain box. So positive, negative, looks to me like this loss box is bigger than that gain box. So when you add them up, then we will have, revenue goes down when price goes up. Right? So if you're on this demand curve on the left where it's elastic demand, it's relatively flat, and you raise the price, your revenue is going to go down. So marginal revenue would be negative. Revenue goes down when you raise the price. On the other hand, if you lower the price from $7 to $5, then your revenue is going to go up. Now we can contrast that with an inelastic demand curve. And over here, we will have a steep demand curve. And I'm going to try to draw similar price changes for you. So let's say that's $5. This is $100 or 100 units in quantity. I'm going to raise the price to $7. Like so. So between these two situations, the black and the green, this box here is in both. This is in both of those green and black boxes in revenue. We're going to lower quantity. And so this box here will be our loss box. Box here. We're going to lose that much in revenue as we raise the price from having to sell a lower amount of quantity. But we're going to gain a big box of revenue from being able to charge a higher price on all those units that we do sell after we raise that price. All right, so if I'm looking at this, that gain box and increases in revenue outweigh the loss box and losses of revenue from raising that price. And so in total here, we will find that as we will have revenue goes up as price goes up. Right? So these are different. Okay? For an inelastic demand, if you raise the price, your revenue goes up. For an elastic demand, you raise the price, your revenue goes down. Right? So if you're a manager at a business, this is going to be something pretty important to know. Like the question is, should I raise my prices on my products? Well, it depends. Do you think you have an elastic demand curve or do you have an inelastic demand curve? It's going to be very important for what's going to happen to your profits and your revenue.